Hi, Al. How are you?
Is that seat taken, ma'am? There's one right up here, second row. I said one more minute.
I feel like I'm in a movie, where they go to the New York Stock Exchange. Damn,
With Wall Street?
yeah,
Oh,
I'm waiting for the bell to ring.
oh, you wanna ring the bell? The opening bell?
Yeah.
Market bell?
You might as well start.
It's up to you.
Can we stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Okay, Bill Orr,
Here.
Jenny Henry,
Here.
Graham Barrett,
Here.
Gary Miller,
Here.
Todd Tuttle,
Here.
Stephen Howard, Gary Lokers,
Here.
Also present is Neil Erickson,
Neil Erickson,
Here.
Becky Rupel. And
that's the clerk chair, White. Is it White?
have approval of the agenda, please.
I'll move to approve the agenda for the special meeting of the, and public hearing for the Kimball Township Planning Commission on June 17, 2026.
Can I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Carries. Okay. Can I have, public hearing,
Nope.
can I have a motion to open the public hearing? No. Approval of the, excuse me, approval of the minutes for May 26, 2026.
I'll move to approve the minutes from the Kimball Township Planning Commission meeting of May 26, 2026, with two corrections on page 1. Change planning board to planning commission, and then on page 4, referencing page 810, the master plan has that as page 8-10.
Can I have approval with those changes?
I second it.
Okay. I have the motion and approval, second with the approval of the changes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries. Now, I need a motion to open the public hearing of the rezoning of parcels listed below, parcels 7425-013-3006-200, parcel number 74-25-013-4009-000, parcel number 74-25-013-4009-100, parcel 74-25-024-1002-100, and parcel 74-25-024-1003-000, and parcel 74-25-24-3001-000. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to open the public hearing at 6:33 PM for the conditional rezoning of parcels verbally stated, 6 in total, for the applicant owner, Blue Water Commerce Park LLC.
Do I have a second?
I'll support.
Have a motion. Can I have a roll call, please?
Barrett,
Yes.
Tuttle,
Yes.
Orr,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Lopers.
Yes.
Can I have, Mr. Francis take the podium, please, and explain what's we're looking at?
Happy to go first, sir. Thank you very much. Al Francis, attorney for Kimball Township. So today is the date and time for a public hearing, the time for this board to take public comment regarding the proposed conditional rezoning request that's up today. So this board's job with respect to this matter is an advisory board to the township board. So the board will make a recommendation ultimately whether to approve or deny the conditional rezoning request. So just a brief summary. Michigan law allows for what are called conditional rezoning requests, essentially rezoning with conditions. The idea of what conditions are can be a little bit limitless. However, the conditions have to be proposed by the applicant. This body cannot propose conditions upon an applicant that the applicant has not provided in writing to this body. So that's number one. There needs to be a firm proposal of the conditions. Number two, you're gonna hear from the public today, you're gonna hear from the applicant today regarding the proposal. This body does not have to vote today, okay? If there are items that are addressed in public comment that during discussion, this body thinks that it would like more detail on, or if frankly, the applicant hears some things that it thinks it can address with sort of revised conditions or more firm conditions, those are things that can be submitted in a supplement form, like so supplemental written conditions, and his body can vote on it at a later time, even the next meeting. It doesn't have to be a significant delay. So that's the job here today. I think that when you're looking at this, there are some things that you should be considering or that are relevant, and those would include, pardon me here, the reflection of the proposed conditional rezoning with respect, or the relationship with it respect to the master plan, whether it's consistent with the future land use map that's detailed in the master plan. Compatibility with surrounding uses is also something that is a relevant consideration for this board. Adequacy of public infrastructure and services, whether there are proposed restrictions on the type of use. The type of uses that are allowed in the industrial zone are significant, but the applicant can voluntarily restrict its right to use it, so it doesn't have to open it up to the entire category of uses within the district. And whether another condition that might be relevant is whether there are changes to the nature of the property, the economy, the nature of the township since the last zoning of this property was done. So my understanding is the future land use map designates this property as development focus. There's been some other talk amongst the board and amongst the planning commission about not having a development focused district, and I'm not sure that's what the future land use map suggests. I think when it's referring to this as development focus, it's pointing to this piece of property as an area where the township should look to try and get some development. So you have the applicant will give a presentation today and explain what its proposal is, and again, this is a period for this body and this commission to take comment, to engage in discussion and provide some feedback. A vote can be had today, but it doesn't have to happen today. So I'm here to answer any questions. I'll be right in front. I'm here now if there are any before we get going.
I have a question.
Sure.
Isn't for our vote on this subject here would be, we are going to be making recommendation to the zoning board to change those, not the zoning, the zoning board.
The township board.
Township board.
Yep.
So we're changing the zoning though, right?
Correct. But so the reason it's the township board is your zoning is an ordinance. So the township board has legislative authority to adopt ordinances. And the zoning map is included within the township zoning ordinance. So no, it is not the ZBA. This will ultimately, the recommendation will ultimately be conveyed to the township board.
Thank you.
I have a clarity question in regards to, because there was not an application included in tonight's packet. However, we did receive one on May 26th. So for the point of clarity, is the conditional rezoning application and volunteering offer of conditions similar or the same document that was received on May 26th with no amendments? And I would follow up that question being that we were supplied by a letter dated June 9th, 2026 from Dickinson Wright, the applicant's attorney. And are we supposed to be viewing that as a addendum to the application that was submitted to us for the May 2026 meeting dated 5/8/2026?
Thank you for throwing the May
Yeah.
8th date. Yes, there is the May 8th application, which would have been what was here for the meeting on May 26th.
Yep.
I understand that council provided the June 9th letter, which I'll let him correct me if I'm wrong, but I would consider that a supplement clarification. It's part of the application that's here today. Just like if they were to submit additional conditions before a recommendation is made by this body, those would also be part of the application. And just so everybody understands, ultimately, if this is approved by the township board, again, we're only making an advisory recommendation here. If this were ultimately approved by the township board, whatever conditions that the applicant has proposed, the township board agrees, will be reduced to a written contract, okay, that will be attached to an amendment to the zoning ordinance, and we can make it recordable with the register of deeds. But there will be a formal written, we can call it a rezoning contract or something along those lines, but they will be binding conditions. So it's important that we have clarity on what the offer of conditions are so that we know as a board what we're recommending, either approving or denying, whenever that vote comes.
So based off the last meeting, it's clear that a lot of residents are not happy with this proposed idea. What power, what can they do as residents?
They can speak their mind here today.
I mean, what difference can that make? I mean, I think that's a lot of people's concerns. What power do they have?
The power that they have is that they come speak and they're voters. I mean, that's what the power is. And I would suggest that sometimes, these type of meetings can get focused on things that aren't necessarily particularly relevant to what this body or the township board has to consider. I laid out several things at the beginning that are generally relevant with respect to rezoning of property, okay? Those are what I would focus my queries on and my questions on and my comments on. But the township board is an elected body, and that's the power that the residents have.
I have a question.
Sir, you'll have to go to the mic and, but,
I want to ask him a question.
yeah, but you still have to give your name if you go up there.
Generally, we don't allow citizens to ask council questions, but if the chair wants to entertain that, so be it.
I'd rather have the other applicant,
Yeah.
and then you could ask your questions.
So what are you saying?
If we let the other gentleman speak, maybe he could,
It'll be in a bit, in a while, right? Here's your name on the board.
I got one simple question to ask this man.
Well-
I gotta go through all this bullshit to do that?
sir.
Language.
All we ask is we just follow the procedure that was stated.
Okay, are we good?
So,
Wait,
So, Mr. Chair, for clarity purposes, just based on our time on the board, and I think just with the newer members here, and I know that we don't always have Mr. Francis at the meetings, and just for clarity purposes, for everybody that's here, because we appreciate you being here, and that the room is full, Mr. Chair, are we following similar procedure that we have before, which is we get an overview from Mr. Francis, which we've received, and then the applicant will be doing a presentation, and then we will, public comment will be
Yes.
made at that time for the
Yes.
public,
And-
during the whole public comment,
Yeah,
for the public hearing portion.
Yes, and their name will be read off that sheet.
Okay, and then for clarity, because we do have a room full of people, we're asking people to sign up. and
Sign
we're-
up for the question.
Okay, so just for clarity purposes and for everybody to be aware, we're following typically what we've done before with public hearings for rezoning or site plans or special uses and such, being Mr. Francis has given his his presentation, the applicant's gonna be providing, a presentation, and then the public's gonna come up, and we've asked them to sign up. That doesn't limit their ability, but we're gonna do first come, first served with those that have signed up for public comment. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Does the board have a time limit for public comment? I think
minutes.
that everybody should understand that.
Everybody gets 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any more questions before, I'll be right here.
Yeah, I got one.
Sir, I represent the township board and the township planning commission.
Simple question, this gentleman was able to ask you a question.
He sits on the board.
Why I can't
Sir,
ask you a question.
sir, he sits on the board.
Public individuals will have a time to speak, correct, after the applicant does his presentation. Correct, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is the applicant ready to,
We had a little glitch in the Wi-Fi system, of course. And so he had it downloaded onto a thumb drive. And
We're working on it. I can get started without it.
would you please?
Yeah, I don't wanna.
hold everybody up.
Okay, sign up, say something.
Do you wanna just let me know if you do get it? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right, good evening, planning commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Larry Opaleski. I'm an attorney with Dickinson Wright. We're outside zoning counsel for Interstate Capital on this project. Was here a couple months ago just to kind of introduce myself with my client, Greg Delaney. He is also gonna be here this evening as well. Actually, there he is right now, so. Yeah, so obviously we're here for a conditional rezoning application. Greg, did you want to, do you need a minute or do you wanna hop up? All right, well, I'm gonna actually let Greg start. He's, this project is his brainchild, and then I'll follow up after he's done.
Sorry for being late. So you guys are all very familiar with this property, not even from myself, but from probably the decades of different litigation and lawsuits and lack of project and abandoned projects on it. No, Neil's grabbing me an easel, but
I'm hurried.
you guys all know where it is, so the 300 acres that backs up to the gun range there is something that we've had our eye on for probably 6 or 7 years. And until May of 2023, there's been a lien on that property for almost 20-some years. And it's been in litigation, and I think no less than 100 people were probably called in the different pieces for that. We've been interested in for one reason, not for a data center, not for any type of project other than what would be economic worthy for this region. There's really no other spots and no immediate freeway access and nothing that has an opportunity like this in East Michigan. So to be this close to the Blue Water Bridge and not to have had the opportunity to build jobs for this community or tax base is what's been missing for incredible amount of time. Port Hurons, early on built their own industrial park. They were able to capture a lot of that business. Their buildings now are 30-plus years old in most cases. A lot of those tenants that are in that park, I can tell you we've talked to probably 6 or 7, are looking for new space. Maybe it's not today, but it will be in the future. there's a lot of commerce with the Blue Water Bridge. You know, we've been building the Gordie Howe. I'm sure you guys have seen that in the news, right? The Gordie Howe Bridge that's been being built opens soon. The Ambassador Bridge has been competing with this bridge the entire time. By the way, the only privately owned bridge crossing in the entire United States is the Ambassador by the Maroon family. They hiked their prices about 24 months back, and the Blue Water Bridge has been a beneficiary of that. If you guys have seen traffic, that's probably close to about 50% of a gain over the last 24 months. So there's been a lot of new commerce coming there, but there's nowhere for any of it to go. So the parties that are coming through there, either from Canada or going into Canada, there's nowhere on this last stop as you come off. And you guys outside of that, I-94 and I-69 start here. This is two of the really largest freeways in the United States. 69 goes all the way to Mexico. But there's nowhere for that business to go. So you've seen places like Romulus and around the airport gain millions of square feet worth of tenants, or Macomb County. Most recent one was the Gestamp plant, right at 23 Mile Road and I-94. Chesterfield Township realized a 600,000 square foot site with Gestamp, which is almost 200 employees. The opportunity we're bringing to the table is not to be part of the news, not to be part of the whole data center boom, not to come suck up resources, not to impact anybody, but to find something to do with the biggest resource that St. Clair County and truly Kimball has, is this property right now to bring an opportunity to. So we had a multi-phase park planned as of now. It would take time to build that. It's not something that happens overnight. So there's a lot of voices that could be heard, all in between now and later. Phase one's 385,000 square feet. Phase two grows off of that same one. I know there's a couple properties that we back up to that, you know, conversations will and can be had about. But the immediate freeway access and the crisscross of two longest freeways and the Blue Water Bridge, there's nowhere else to put this. I've tried in Marysville to rezone 65 acres. We'll be back there soon. But as they're losing jobs like Mopar right now, there's not even an opportunity to try and build there. And Port Huron's out of space. We've got one site up this way in Port Huron Township that we closed on. 40 acres of it's usable because of wetlands. That's where we've got 2 phases of buildings. Likely, because we have permitting, that one will be able to go first. It's something that we're able to break ground on this year. But this is a site that for the last 5 or 6 years, and even Neil has had the opportunity to work with us on, familiarize and get to know us, we've been ultra focused on. So I appreciate your guys' time. I understand all of your concerns. I'm here to hear all your voices. Under no circumstances do we not hear them. Love comments, love feedback, and love to be a part of the community. We did close this property. We do own this property. That was big risk on our part to do so initially. But we did so because we believe in being here. And under no circumstances do we see ourselves not. So we really want to work together to find something that can fit together. This other page I put on here, so in between these buildings, we've got 2 massive ponds on the front side. So what I spent last year, you know, we closed in, I think, August 16th or 17th. I spent a lot of the summer chasing people on this property. Kimball Township spent, I don't know, 100 trips out to the site between police and fire over the last some years. But really to clean that up, to create some visibility, to find what can be done with it. We've done every survey in the world you could think of here. But we did take these 2 ponds, and that's something we've carved out, understanding I've caught, I don't know, a dozen parties fishing back there. I don't want to kick them off the property. I like to find a spot for them to be able to fish, or to put in a playground, or for you guys to have some amenities that are similar or even better than what Port Huron has. I think there's a massive opportunity there with 50-some acres and 2 really beautiful ponds that are there that is what they would be used for. and something that I would gift and or work with Kimball to make sure is a community benefit. Is there anything else you think I should address?
No, I think I can follow up.
Okay. I'm gonna probably get called back here, so happy to answer any questions.
All right, we're gonna hope that this works now. Oh, there we go. All right, as I just stated, I'm Larry Opaleski, outside zoning counsel for the applicant. Just have a real brief kind of overview for you. Greg obviously is intimately familiar with the property and the project. As you know, and as is in the application materials, it's six parcels near Ashley Road and 994, about 300 acres. And the existing uses, according to your 2025 master plan that you just did, are vacant land, industrial, and agricultural. You can kind of see it there, the outline. Again, I know you're all familiar with this. And again, as Greg was saying, what we're proposing is really a first-rate commerce and industrial park, somewhere in the range of $300 million investment into the township. We're gonna have 5 clean, modern buildings built in phases. There's gonna be 40-plus acres that are dedicated for public and recreational use, as Greg just spoke to. And again, obviously, jobs and tax revenue for the township. Some renderings of what the site is proposed to look like. Won't spend too much time on these. There are various different angles too, obviously. And so what we have now and what we're here for today, as Mr. Francis just said, we're here for the zoning approval process, and what we're proposing is a conditional rezoning to I-1 light industrial. And again, this is a process that's authorized by the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, where the applicant, which is us, can propose conditions on a rezoning. And this is more protective of the community than a traditional rezoning. With a traditional straight rezoning, basically it's just a yes or no, and if you say yes, then everything is wide open to the applicant. What we're proposing here is to curtail that to add more protections for the township and the residents. As Mr. Francis also said, the conditions are enforced as part of the zoning approval, so you know, when I do these across the state, there's inevitably a resident or two that says, well, they're just big talkers, they're not gonna comply with this, but the reality is we have to, because it's a binding legal document that's in the chain of title. So there's really no option for violating. The township can't force conditions upon the applicant, but there is an opportunity, like we're having here tonight, for feedback and dialogue on conditions and on the application itself. And also, again, this is the beginning of the process. This is not the end. Whatever vote happens here tonight or in a subsequent meeting is not the final word on this. This goes up to the township board, and we also will need site plan approval. So there's still a lot of things that the township will have control and say over with this project. So the question is, all right, well, how do you evaluate a rezoning request? What leads us to believe whether or not it's a good idea or a bad idea from a legal perspective? First is your 2025 Township Master Plan, and I really love that it's a 2025 plan. Sometimes you get up and you're dealing with like a 2007 or a 2004 master plan, which is just horrendously out of date. But I commend you folks. You've updated yours, and it's very current. So you've designated this property as a development area. Specifically, some of the uses that this property is ideal for, according to your master plan, is an industrial park or a large-scale industrial use. Mr. Francis has said in the past, I don't want to speak for him, but I believe he's advised you that a conditional rezoning is a more streamlined and practical tool to develop this property than a separate development district. Development districts, PUDs, things like that, they can be appropriate in some circumstances, but they do tend to be longer, more complicated, less, more unwieldy type of zoning tools. So we know that the master plan is in favor of this being developed as an industrial use. But also the current zoning of the property is inconsistent with both the current uses as identified in the 2025 master plan and any future development. It's currently zoned a mix of ag, C2, and R2. And I gotta say, in all my time doing this type of work, I've never seen a single area that's got that many different weird zoning configurations all smushed together like that. And again, that doesn't reflect the current use of the land, and these zones are all incompatible with each other when you have them that close together. So unifying the zoning designation of this area is really to the benefit of the township. So again, master plan and the current rezoning are both in favor of what we're asking here. And so now we are talking about the proposed conditions. So first of all, we have enhanced buffering and setbacks along the western portion of the property. That's along Range Road. What we're proposing is 330 feet of buffer and green space to shield the existing residential properties there. Your ordinance requires a setback of 50 feet, so what we're proposing is more than 6 times that. Again, according to your master plan, this is going to be developed at some point, likely with something with an industrial flavor to it. So again, what we're proposing here is way over and above what would ordinarily be required. The public amenities that Greg already talked about, including the existing pond areas, maintaining those and keeping those available. And what is the hot button issue these days is data centers. When people see industrial, they tend to think, oh no, are they going to sneak a data center in there? The answer here is definitively no. In the strongest possible terms, no data center is going to be on this site. And then here's just kind of the conceptual site plan. I know you guys have a much better quality in your information packets, but there you have it. So, at this point, does the board have any questions for us, or would you like to hear from the public at this time?
Bill? Casey?
Mr. Casey, would you like to say something?
Members of the commission, I'm Dan Casey. I'm with the Economic Development Alliance of St. Clair County. So I wanted to just give you kind of our thoughts as an organization on where we're at in the county and how this might fit, this development might fit into that. First of all, we have 12 industrial parks in St. Clair County. They're currently all built out. There's very little land left for development in those parks. We have a project that's going to be announced probably in the next 1 to 2 months in Port Huron that will take really the last big piece of property that they have, and we'll develop it for an auto supplier. So after that, there are some properties that are zoned industrial in the county. They are not nearly as marketable as this location is. And that's the bottom line. So we've known that for years. We've talked to the township for years. There hasn't been any opportunity for this to become a reality until now. So that's why we're here today. But in my opinion, looking at all of the various places in the county where you could put an industrial park like this is the best site, by far. Why? It's on an expressway. So you get the noise from the expressway, right? That helps to buffer anything that might, truck traffic coming out of the park, anything like that. So you're on an expressway, you're at an interchange. That's what businesses want. They want easy on, easy off. They don't want to navigate local roads. They want to go right to the interchange. This allows them to do that. So that's a big key. It has a rail line, which may or may not be necessary. You may not find any tenants that need it, but that makes this site unique in Michigan. There's not too many places where you can find industrial sites with rail or potential for rail. It has power. It has water and sewer. It has all these elements that other places in the county don't have, and would be very expensive to develop. So this is really, in my opinion, the top site in the county for future tax base and jobs. Now, having said that, we're very respectful of the wishes and the interests of the community. And so any kind of development has to be constructed with that in mind and in keeping with the wants and the desires of the community. So that's obviously top of mind for us for any kind of development or project, is it has to work for the community. Another thing I wanted to mention is the state of Michigan recently has selected this site as one of 12 sites in the state that it is prioritizing for investment and marketing to prospects that come to the state looking for land. We're just beginning that process. Of course, if this doesn't get rezoned, it'll be dropped. But if it does get rezoned, the state of Michigan, through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, is already working with my organization to gather all the data, all the studies, all the maps, all the information that's necessary to help market this site properly for opportunities that come in the future. One of 12 sites in Michigan. So as they are recruiting companies nationally and internationally, this site will be put in front of those companies. That gives it a huge lift over top of any other sites in the state of Michigan. So that's all I have for now. If you have any questions, I'll certainly be happy to answer them.
I have one for Mr. Casey, if I may, Mr. Chair. Mr. Casey, of the 12 industrial parks in the county, how many were there privately owned, petitioned, rather than municipally created? That being, typically in the past, they were bought by the local units, deed restrictions were put on, like the city of Port Huron, where this is an applicant coming and saying, I'm gonna create a park. How many of these parks were done that way?
As I recall, there are 2 that are municipally owned.
Okay.
The Port Huron Park and the city of Yale has a park.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, one quick correction. The buffering is gonna be along Allen Road on the west side.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, we'll open it up to comments and questions from the public. You have a sheet that we can go by, and we'll give everyone three minutes. Michelle, if you wish to call the names.
Do we want to read the ones that contacted me?
Oh, for the record, we have some that we need to read?
Yes, I do.
Okay, okay.
Okay. 2 residents called the deputy clerk and they had the same questions. Their questions were about the noise level, would tax values go down, and the traffic.
And they live on,
I don't have those addresses for those.
One was on, I think it was Broadex, is that the one next to the gun club?
Yes.
Yeah, Broadex, and the other one was on Allen Road, and then the other person,
okay.
there's another one.
And then I have another one. The address is 1202 Allen Road. There's 3 questions for this one. Concerning the park area, will there be any fence or barrier put up so people can't come up behind our houses? The second one, where will the storage units be located? And the third, the train issue. I am totally against it. We have enough noise on Allen Road with speeding cars and motorcycles. I don't want any trains behind our homes. Those are the,
And then we have Anna Henderson. Yes, please come up to the podium, state your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Anna Henderson. I live at 6411 Lapeer, and I've been in Kimball Township for about 7 months now. I've lived between Sanilac and St. Clair County most of my life. So at the beginning, Greg Delaney, or I guess rather, it was made clear in the PowerPoint that there would be no data AI centers. However, when, I want to say it was Greg Delaney was talking about this, this may not be verbatim, no data or processing center beyond what would be economically beneficial. I'm wondering where the parameters of that lay, how that is measured. I also have a question for Mr. Francis. You mentioned that these are plots the board should be interested in developing. I'm wondering if that is a personal belief or a legislative statement. If it can be promised that the 5 buildings would not be a data center, what will they be, I wonder? And then as well as, of course, it can't be promised that economic development would be guaranteed if these buildings are created, if this is all manufactured. I want to know what happens then. They'll probably be abandoned. The economy is terrible right now, and I don't see how working locally is going to fix that. And then for my last comment slash question, as far as the wants and the desires of the community, I'm wondering what parameters those also operate within. How that is measured, is it a certain amount of people who disapprove? What kind of disapprovals? Or I wonder if that is just a way to pretend that our concerns are actually being addressed. And that is all I have.
Excuse me, could the speakers please speak better into the microphone? We can barely hear them.
I'm so sorry.
Maybe if you turn up the volume, get it closer so we can try.
Thank you very much for your time.
Did you?
The chair would like. My comment was not a personal statement. It was based on the master plan that was approved by the township board.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for answering.
Next, we have Dale Stires.
My name is Dale Stires, 1362 Allen Road. The devaluation of property caused by external outside factors such as an undesirable business moving into an area is called economic obsolescence, also known as external obsolescence. The term represents a loss of property value that has nothing to do with the physical condition of a house itself, but rather changes in the surrounding environment. The diminished value of my home and property will be because of your proposed factories and a monstrous warehouse, along with its associated noise and light pollution. I don't believe that Kimball Township possesses the adequate resources and infrastructure to support this project. Thursday, June 11th, a massive fire destroyed a 1 million plus square foot warehouse in Tracy, California. Please take and I'm talking to everyone on the board and those associated with this project, please take time to take a look at the videos of this warehouse. It was over 1 million, which you're proposing to build behind our homes, this huge warehouse. It destroyed it in a matter of just less than an hour, and it created horrendous amount of mess. But you're proposing to build this 350 feet from my home. And we don't have fire in the area, fire departments in the area that can even come close to putting a fire out like that in this warehouse. So I'm vehemently opposed to this project. Thank you.
Kevin Hernandez. I think I say it right. Okay.
Hello, my name is Kevin Hernandez. I live at 1310 Allen Road. I was here last time, and I just want to make sure so I live right next to an easement along with my neighbors who are here. So who owns the easement? Is it rezoned with them? And I know I heard from the building inspector, they don't plan on building a road, but what stops them from, is it theirs? Can they build a, let's just say 10 years down the line, oh, we're gonna put a road down Allen Road, is that possible? That's just my first question. I don't know, should I wait for an answer, or just, I got 3 different questions. So should I just keep going? Okay, and then the next one, we talked about the 330 feet. What stops, so is that, if that gets approved, let's say it doesn't get approved, can they switch that later down the line because they own the property, or is it cemented in that it has to be 330? Or can they later down the line, 15 years from now, oh, I need additional parking for trucks, we're just gonna cut it down to 50 because that's what's the law. So that's a question there. And then, I was looking at the building plans and it looks like they have roads coming from Ashley. I don't see any going from Range, so is all new, is that gonna be the entryway to the warehouses, is just Ashley Road? And if so, I just want to ensure, do they plan on using Allen Road as a road to get to the warehouses if this does get accepted? So those are my 3 major concerns there. So, is that it? Just
Joe Tironi?
Just one more question. So how do these get answered? We're asking questions and no one's answering them. Do they get answered right away, or, because I said 3 questions and now he's going up.
Well, we have our attorneys here, if he can answer, and Neil?
Mr. Chair, if I may, this is a public comment period, not a question and answer.
Yeah.
To the extent that the commission has questions after, they're free to ask, but it's a
Okay.
public comment
Yeah.
period. Public
So
hearing,
it's not
sorry.
questions, it's comments. Well, I guess I'll just rephrase all that. Those are my major concerns, as opposed to the gentleman that was before me. Definitely not a fan of having a warehouse, but these are the big concerns that we should put in as, like what your thought process of approving this.
Got it.
My name is Joe Tironi. I own 1442 Allen Road. 2 weeks ago, I talked about, well, the main concern is the buffer zone. That's not given to me. So they have a 330-foot buffer zone along Allen Road. Then it stops at my property. The whole south side is, I guess, 50 feet, what they're legally accepted to do now, from what I understand. And then the east side of my property is 50 feet. So I don't understand why I'm not getting that 330 feet. My other question would be, if that is the ordinance, and so now they can go by that ordinance, they're giving 330 feet to these other property owners, but not me, can the township change that ordinance to make it 330 feet? Then they have to abide by that. So that's my other question.
Can I ask you, what type of trees do you grow?
Sequoias.
Sequoias? Wow.
So,
And I just, for clarity, because I'm a visual person, and I remember you being here, but you are the farm at the railroad tracks,
Correct.
Ashley Road and Allen Road, correct? And then the house got cut out, because there is a house there that got sold separately, but it's not your house, you own the farm fields.
well,
The house is in the way back.
so there's two houses along Allen Road.
Correct.
That I guess the old owner sold off.
Okay.
But I'm the house in the way back.
You're in the far back, but you had the farm field in the
I have
front.
that 24-acre property.
Okay.
So in my opinion, I think I'm getting screwed the most.
I
That's my-
understand.
that's
I
my
just wanted
opinion.
clarity. I'm a visual person.
Yeah.
That's why I say you're near Ashley, the railroad track.
Yeah, I'm that 24-acre farm.
Yeah, you're the driveway that's right after the railroad tracks
exactly.
going
So,
south.
Directly south in
Yep.
that field, there's the,
Thank you.
thank you.
Rupert Raditz? Robert, sorry. Robert Raditz.
My name's Robert Raditz, 1176 Allen Road. I haven't talked to anybody that likes this idea at all. There's so many issues with it. But there's also the issue of more train noise. There is the issue of more train blackened roads. As you're all aware, that's what they do constantly. Sometimes on Allen Road, that train sits there for over an hour. Nobody does anything about it. You allow this to happen, and it's gonna be a whole lot worse. Range Road, just truckers that use that roundabout, they can't even stay on it. It ain't big enough. You add more trucks, that bridge isn't wide enough. Who's paying for it? I think we pay our fair share of taxes. We don't need to increase. I think you guys should think long and hard about this whole idea.
That is the end of my list.
I got my question answered.
Anyone else? Please state your name, sir, and where you live.
So my name's Richard Richmond. I don't live in Kimball Township. I am a board member at Blue Water Sportsmen's Association, the gun range. So I've got two questions here. So they're addressing the buffer zone. What are they doing for the residents on Oxbow, right next to the gun range?
You mean Broad Axe?
Or Broad Axe?
Thank you.
Are they gonna do anything for those folks? And then what is the impact of this gonna be on the gun range? Because they are gonna be bordering two sides of us. So those are the only two questions I have.
Anyone else?
We have Jackie.
Jackie Hilgendorf, 5163 Dove Road. Everything that's been said, I think, just to reiterate, in terms of pollution and infrastructure, we're talking about water, we're talking about fire, we're talking about electricity, we're talking about noise pollution, light pollution. Those trucks come in, if it's gonna be a warehouse facility, you're talking about trucks coming in at all different hours of the day and night. Even if they access the facility off of Range Road, you've got air brakes going on, you've got truckers sitting there because they can't get unloaded during the night shift, so they're sleeping in cabs now outside of people's homes, you know, in that vicinity. It just raises a whole bunch of security concerns, and I don't know if everybody's thought from that perspective of safety and security for the neighborhood as well. So those are just some comments I wanted to bring up. Thank you.
Matt LaForge, 1396 Allen. I guess my question to you guys would be is what the buffer is. Is it what is currently existing there now, or will it be drained out? Because directly behind our house, there's a wetland. We know that. And why does the buffer only have to be 330 feet? I know you guys said it was generous. Law states that it needs to be 50. Why can't it be another couple acres or 2 or 3 back from the houses on Allen Road? That's it.
Anyone else, please?
Jane Warzinski, 1407 Allen Road.
My concern is.
I didn't hear your name.
Jane Warzinski. My concern is what it's gonna do to our property values, because I have never seen an area that has industrial next to it that the property values don't go down. and also all the wildlife that we enjoy out there will be gone.
Do we have anyone else?
Hi, Rosalind Judd, 1430 Allen Road. I just want to clarify something that was said earlier. The Planning Commission advises the Township Board, and the Township Board is the body that votes? Is that correct? Is anybody from the Township Board here? One person, two people? How many people are on the Township Board?
7.
Are they gonna hear all this? Are they gonna get the concerns, the questions? Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yep, there comes someone.
I want to know.
We need your name, sir, and where you live.
I'll give it to you. My name's Randy Bradshaw. I live at 1390 Allen Road. I want to know, is this like a big secret? Because I have friends that live on Broad Axe. I have friends that live on Burma, right directly across the street from me on Allen Road. Nobody got the letters. There was only like a few down the road. You see what I'm saying? Because if everybody in this little community got letters, this place would be packed.
Well, it has to be within 300 feet.
300 feet of the building.
Yeah.
No.
From my property line.
And
Exactly. I mean, it's like right there.
Broad Axe is, it abuts the gun club only.
Just a gun club?
Yep.
But still, you know what I'm saying? It's still gonna be the noise in the middle of the night. I guess we're had, right? There ain't nothing we can do about it, right? It's a shame. Is my taxes gonna go down? Come on, you know.
I have nothing to do with that.
Wrong board.
Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
My name's Tom Hunt. I live at 1262 Allen. And this decision involves everybody in Kimball Township, correct? Then why aren't they here? This is only the people that live on Allen. Why aren't the rest of the Kimball Township people here? Why weren't they invited? That's my question.
There again, it has to do with proximity. There's times where I live, I didn't get a letter, and
It still affects everybody in Kimball Township.
I know, and there again, it's proximity to where they live.
There will be when they hit the road.
So,
It ain't gonna stay on range.
is there anybody else?
You guys all know that. That's why our road was flagged out.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak?
Utilities and all that.
Go ahead, Neil.
I say the public notice was released in the Times Herald. That's how we, the MTA.
Okay. Please.
By rights, it's 300 feet from all property lines of the property owner. And legal has to be in the newspaper 15 days prior to the meeting.
You know, I think every Kimball resident does get the Kimball monthly
Okay. If that's all, if there's nobody else that wishes to speak? Sir. Need your name and address, please.
Jamie Collins, 6411 Lapeer Road. Been in Kimball on and off for most of my 32 years. Just wanted to directly ask, what are Greg's current established businesses, industries at this time? I forgot your name. I'm sorry. Yes.
My name is Mr. Francis.
Mr. Francis. I just wanted to ask that. I haven't.
Represent Greg.
Okay. Sorry about that then. I wasn't sure if I should ask who exactly I should ask, just him directly, I guess. But that is all I currently wanted to know, other than potentially what could be developed around the ponds in the future. That's all.
I'm Tony Jakubiak, 1275 Allen Road, and it looks like in this proposal, there's the guarantee that there will be no data centers on this property. What about, I mean, and so a commercial industrial park, that leaves a lot of leeway, and if it's gonna be state of Michigan marketing it all across country, wherever, do we get a guarantee that there's not going to be marijuana grow centers and manufacturing plants? Because the smell from that would have to send us moving. And I mean, it's not going to be hazardous waste or garbage dumps. Is that stuff that can be put in there, or is that automatically said by it just saying commercial industrial park? But please, no grow centers or manufacturing.
No what? You mean marijuana grow centers?
Right,
Got
marijuana
it.
grow centers or
I gotcha.
manufacturing of that with the smell. Because
I gotcha.
that, I've
Thank
been
you.
in places where you whiz on by, or I've stayed in hotels, and there's the grow center across the street or the manufacturing, and it's not very pleasant. Thank you.
I am Brian Fannin, 1342 Allen Road. As of like 3 years ago, just about everybody east on Allen Road, from the railroad tracks all the way to Ravenswood, had a half acre of land. And now I have 0.35 acres of land. Our frontage was cut off 1/3%. Anybody aware of that? My property line goes right through the middle of my front yard. And still my taxes went up. Is anybody aware of that?
I saw it.
Yeah. What's your plans for Allen Road? Is it gonna be a 4-lane highway?
That's the
Does anybody know?
We don't have the road.
But I'm just making everybody aware of it. Your property line goes right through the middle of your frontage. They took out 25 yards from the middle of the road to your middle of your yard. Everybody else is on the west side, goes from the middle of the road, from the railroad tracks all the way to Ravenswood. Your frontage was cut in half. I now have 3.35 acres, not a half acre. And it goes for everybody from the railroad tracks all the way down to Ravenswood.
and nobody knows about it?
That's not, I have no idea, that's easement, that's county, I
The
believe.
easement is 33 feet from the middle of the road.
But did the
Not
town,
25
township
yards.
didn't take your property?
Uh-huh.
Did the township take your property?
What's your plans for Elm Road? That's all I wanna know.
I have no plans for Allen Road.
Okay. One, look at your property. Did you see that on that one?
Okay, I think we're done with. All right, is there no one else that wishes to speak at this time? We will close the, can I have a motion to close the hearing?
So no one else wants to speak?
No.
That's fine. I just want to make that very clear. So, Mr. Chair, there's no one else that wants to speak that's here tonight? This is a public hearing to receive public comments, and once it's closed. So is there anybody else that wants to talk? I'll move to close the public hearing at 7:34 regarding the rezoning conditional application received from Blue Water Commercial Park LLC.
I second.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Barrett,
Yes.
Tuttle,
Yes.
you seconded, right? Ford,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Miller. Yes. And Wilkers.
Yes.
This, new business. We're not going to discuss the new business then. Old business.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Just, I don't have a copy of the agenda. Is the new business? Oh, I do right here. I do think that the commission does not have to, commission does not have to, they're free to vote tonight, but they don't have to vote tonight. But I do think there should be some clarification to the applicant about what is actually happening as opposed to passing it over. When the comment was made about not discussing the new business, I think what I'm hearing is that the board, or the commission would like to take this up at perhaps the next meeting for a vote. Is that what I'm hearing?
I would like it that way.
Okay. And would the commission entertain a supplement from the applicant to address perhaps concerns that have been raised here today to be presented prior to the next meeting?
Could we have that from him?
Yeah, I mean,
So I have some questions, though, in regards to, we've heard a lot of comment, Mr. Francis. We've heard it last month, and we've heard it now. And so in regards to sharing with the people, what are the options? Because as shared, our hands are tied to a degree in regards to a conditional rezoning request, being it's not going back and forth. That being, we cannot say, and I want to make this clear, because we've been on the board before, and when we have a typical zoning, or I'm going to say special use request, it's a back and forth. Or we can say in our motion, we have these stipulations.
correct.
That is not the case in this situation. Those stipulations or those offerings have to come from the applicant, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Barrett.
So as a result, there has been a lot of communication shared by the public in regards to it, and myself in last month's meeting regarding reviewing the application that was put in our packet, and needing those to be addressed, or are they not going to address? Because how long is this gonna go? Because if there's some topics here that the applicant's gonna flat out say, no, I'm not going to do this, then that might determine someone's vote on this board. you know, and as a result, what would then be a proper amount of time? Because we have to act in the public. And so as a result, we typically only meet once a month. An error did occur. That's why we're here on the 17th. More than likely, we'll meet our normal time, correct, at the 4th Tuesday of the month. I don't know what that date is, so I can't tell the future, but I have a feeling this topic's gonna be on there. I don't know if the applicant's gonna be able to turn something around in 2 weeks or not, but again, it comes back to some of the topics that have been brought up. That being, there's a buffer question. There's an equality question regarding that buffer. Are they going to address it or not? In our ordinance there, with that buffering, I could not find the 50, I'm gonna take their word for it, but there's vegetation requirements in the current zoning associated with that. So are we gonna just do the minimum vegetation? And they have an option, whether it's vegetation at a certain feet, or if they're gonna build a wall. And so what are those options going to be, and are they going to do more than that? Because that is one of the biggest concerns here. And then in regards to the access point that has been brought up. Typically that is brought up at the site plan level, which happens after a special use is approved, and we review that based on the engineer's letter and also our request about that. And so there are, you know, questions in regards to that access part. So this is new to the board. And as a result, I think also we have to be respectful. What is an appropriate amount of time? Because it's one thing to go very fast, it's another thing to go very slow. And so as a result, this is new for us, but maybe not for the applicant, and more than likely not for you as an attorney and his attorney, which you might do this on a, you know, on a regular basis. So those are aspects that, because I'm sitting on this board representing the community that I've lived here, been a part of for 44 years of my life. And as a result, this has high impact, because I remember when I was 10 and some decisions that were made, and I see them now when I'm 44. And so as a result, will have an impact, not for 10 years, not for 20 years, not for 30, but probably when I'm in the grave. So I'm very aware of that. But I also know the ordinance is the ordinance, and I took an oath that I would represent the ordinance and I would enforce it, whether I like it or not. And that is what I have to do. So as a result, you know, it comes to that point. Yep. I know what I would vote if it's gonna come up or down tonight. I don't think that's in our best interest, but I am one of 6, well 7 on this board regarding that.
I appreciate the comments, and I think the applicant does too, and let me say why. Number one, you laid out whatever the number was, 4 or 5 concerns that you had that you may want to see addressed by the applicant, specifically all concerns that were raised. But I want to give an example just to sort of concrete what you indicated. This board cannot say, we approve as long as the buffer's 400 feet and wraps around through Allen Road. These have to be conditions that are offered by the applicant. And this board can't say we approve as long as they say there's not going to be a marijuana facility, just to address another. These are things that have come up during the public hearing that the applicant may or may not want to address, that we've now had one commissioner say, at least with respect to some of them, are items that he's considering. Your question about timing is a fair one, and I would leave that to the applicant if they don't have to submit any additional information, but if they desire to, what they feel like would be an appropriate time to get any revisions or supplements they have with respect to the conditions before the commission. I would leave that to the applicant to say. But you are spot on with correct with how you're analyzing this role and what we can or cannot do. And again, it is advisory in nature. It ultimately goes to the township board. But this is very important because the township board has an open meeting when it discusses it. Everybody's welcome to come and make their public comment on it. It's different than what this is. This is a public hearing specifically designed for this one aspect. So for the public's sake and for the commission's sake, you know, this is the time when you're trying to gather feedback and important information. So it's very important. I wrote down 17 items based on the comments here. I'm sure counsel for the applicant and the applicant itself have done the same thing. So again, I would leave the timing up to the applicant. I can, I'll let them speak if the commission wants to hear from them, and we can help formulate whatever sort of motion that the commission desires after that.
My concern is a lot of, everybody, the truck traffic on Allen Road, you know, I can't say, these people have lived there a long time. I've known people that live there a long, long time and don't show up here. I don't know why not. But that's up to them, I guess. Evidently, they don't think nothing's gonna be done, but, and the gentleman that, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Mr. Chair, some of the things that were brought up, I think, are pretty easily clarified. If you'd like to hear from us now.
Yeah, one of the other things is the gentleman and his trees. A square is a big tree. You know, I would definitely, I don't wanna see his trees get harmed. I like trees.
Do you want
Go
to
ahead.
speak?
Go ahead.
I'll just address a few issues, and then Greg will have some more to say about some of these others. I do want to echo what Mr. Francis said. He's given a very, I think, thorough overview of the process. Commissioner Barrett as well, I appreciate your overview of that too. It's correct that the commission can't foist conditions upon the applicant, but this discussion that we're having is, I think, what the process is designed for, so that we have a better idea of what we can present to the best of our ability. One young lady asked about the data center. Again, in the strongest possible terms, and this is going to be written up into a contract that's going to be reviewed by the township's attorney. There will not be a data center on this property. I'll say that till I'm blue, purple, green in the face, whatever. So if there ever is a data center here, you can come find me. In terms of, are these conditions permanent? One gentleman asked, you know, we're currently offering far in excess of the ordinance requirements for setbacks. Is there going to be a time in the future where we ask to reduce that? Again, this is a binding legal document that's going to be recorded into the register, into the chain of deeds. The only way that that could ever be amended is if the township allows it. So the township board would have to vote on that, and that, I imagine, would be something that everybody would come out and voice their strong opposition to, and I cannot imagine a world where that happens. So there's no avenue for us to unilaterally, sometime in the future, change any of this. And your attorney will see to that as well when the final documents are reviewed. There were questions about noise, vibrations, odors, just general nuisance concerns that you often hear with industrial. Your zoning ordinance, I imagine, addresses all of that. Again, this is the beginning of the process, not the end. We will have to comply with the zoning ordinance requirements for sound, for lighting, for odor, anything like that. We cannot, this is not a get-out-of-jail-free card for the applicant. The applicant will have to comply by all township ordinances if this was to go forward. Trying to see what else is something good for, oh, so a question was asked about the, I believe it's a county easement that comes off of Allen Road. That is something that the county currently has control over. The underlying property is owned, would be owned by the applicant and then the neighboring properties, but the easement itself is controlled by the county.
Can you clarify that though? Because that is a very generic term saying county. So is that the road commission? Is that the drain commissioner? Who is that?
I believe it's the drain commission that has control of that easement. Okay. And that's certainly something we can easily clarify as well. Questions were asked about property values. Again, I mean, it's our position that this is not going to lower property values. There's certainly not been any evidence presented that it would. This will bring, obviously, increased tax revenue for the township. It will improve infrastructure. You know, schools will benefit from the increased tax revenue. And again, it's going to bring jobs into the township as well. And again, you've already decided in your master plan that this property will be developed. That's what the master plan dictates. So we've come forward with something we believe is would be protective of the community, but again, you know, that's what this process is for, and we've appreciated the discussion, and I'll turn it over to Greg for anything else.
Thank you. Thank you all for your comments. To give you some background, so we, you know, our projects we're aiming for here are manufacturing and distribution sites, and/or / warehousing. That is the need. That's what the focus would be here. Our sites that we have in Portage, Michigan, and Battle Creek, Michigan, and Pavilion Township. We've got Ford, we've got Pfizer, we have Bradford White, which if any do heating or in cooling or plumbing, it's one of the largest hot water tank companies. We've got Zoetis, we have FedEx. You know, those are some of the tenants we have for those buildings. I can also tell you that 2 of those were conditioned to receive a rail spur, right? We're not building a rail spur day one, but we did build the buildings and grade them to receive one, never used. I can tell you that those 2 million square feet that we put up thus far has secured a little over 650 jobs for those communities. And a little over $250 million in total investment. So in the form of data center, I cannot reiterate hard enough. It will be no conversation of data center, nor will there ever be. And marijuana grows is a big no for us. So we're building buildings that we want to hold for 20 years. We're not building them, we're not then selling them, we're holding on to these. We are the community stewards for you guys, and your voice to what would be the tenant there. Any type of recycling plants or hazardous materials or any of that such things is a big no-no. We're building something we want to keep, it has to stay pristine. Economic obsolescence, I can hear you on that one. My wife and I have been looking for a property all over St. Clair and Macomb County for the past 2 years. Some of our biggest concerns were rails, were freeways, you know, 2 of which happened to cross this right here. I lived in Mount Clemens for 6 years on the exact same rail path that you guys have here. 5, 6 times a day. I grew used to that noise. You didn't even hear it anymore probably, but I've listened to it at 8 p.m. and then at midnight and at 3:30 in the morning and again at 8. It was my alarm clock. I didn't even use one. But that same rail you guys have was mine for 6 years living there. And something that's not going away. It's, if anything, growing. And secondly, I've slept on this property for probably 3 weeks of solid time, different camping with my son or anything. I understand the wildlife side, but I also understand the gun range. From a noise aspect, there's fully automatic weapons going off on Saturday morning at 8:00 a.m. I mean, and it stays like that. Maybe not fully, but sounds like it. I haven't shot over there.
Can I just reiterate to this comment that you just made?
Yes.
Please.
So, you don't hear gunfire at 8:00 in the morning. Our club has a strict policy that no firing starts until 9:30.
9:30, okay. Copy that. But I have heard that, and on my property, as I get, and part of this boundary that we put in place here was a lot of thought process. When I get 350 away from your property line, I can't hear those guns anymore. So, do you guys hear them from Allen Road?
Yeah, I can hear them from my house. I live out on.
Over the train, over the traffic. So,
I live out on Grizzle, I can hear them.
just wanted to make that point aware. But, you know, with doing a development like this, there's new roads, there's new utilities, there's school tax that comes with it, all stuff that's needed. I definitely agree with the Allen Road, but that is not part of our path whatsoever. We're in and off the freeway ramp. Allen Road would almost never be used unless they were reconstructing something at the exit. It's not for this. In vacant buildings, I can see some concern there, but when we put a building in for $30 million, the last thing that can happen is it can be vacant at the end of the day. It's a highly calculated risk as we build a spec building. And we've got some videos on YouTube if you guys would like to watch them on what a spec building it is. But we build the shell, we build it to be versatile for the type of users that we're trying to attract. We don't pour the floor, because we don't know how many bathrooms there will be, or where they exactly need the office. And as we get almost done with it, and in the last 6 cases, we've gotten our tenant attracted and been on board in that last 90 to 120 days of that completion. So all of the sites in Michigan are trying to attract business, and there are a few of them now. You know, there's not much left. There was 3.5 million square feet 24 months ago. There's less than 500,000 square feet of anything new that's standing right now that's available. They are looking at that window on the back. How certain are they in a delivery? And they're not able to even commit to or even look at a project. You have someone like there over Dan Casey, who's probably one of the hardest working economic developers I've seen in Southeast Michigan, who doesn't have anything to sell. There needs to be opportunity for the region. And there needs to be opportunity for our kids at the end of the day. So I remember growing up, and my grandpa works for Chrysler, and he's blue collar through and through, and that is my entire life. We could go out into the front streets of East Point, and here's all these kids and families, and they were still there. My aunts and uncles all lived blocks from each other. But that's not true anymore, and that's what's going away because there's no jobs. So how do you keep kids here so that your grandchildren are living near you? And you can see those generations grow. There's no opportunity if there's not space for them to grow. There's not the next manufacturer or job. So that's what we're looking to do, in all honesty, from the bottom of our hearts, is to find those type of opportunities. That's why we're willing to take data centers off here, because we don't have any interest in that, or marijuana grows, or any other stuff that you guys want to throw out there. I guarantee you the oddest things you'll come up with are not anything we would even consider. They have to be the right type of tenants, so. A what? In ICE? No.
Hey, got it.
Well.
So, here's what we look at, and then to Mr. Troni, and your response there on setbacks, your nearest structure is 400 feet from your property line to your barn corner. Everybody else's from our property line is 75 to 100 foot from the back fence. So we put a buffering in consideration, looking at what was there. We're not cutting any trees down. The last thing, you talk about vegetation and what we need to put in there. We don't gotta cut stuff down to put new stuff in, right? We've got 50-year-old trees, we're keeping them there. That's the reason for them. I've had the pleasure of meeting some of you in this room to talk about that. You just happen to have wetlands backed up to yours. It's mostly wide open. There's not a lot of trees balanced against there. Well, what is there will be left. That is the best that we can do, or anybody could do, is to leave what's in place right now and not to replace it with shrubs that are 2 and 3 feet tall. That I can promise you are gonna screen your property, but not for another 15 years if you're lucky. And as far as time goes, and is it something that we need to stress out about or get done tomorrow? I could tell you no, if it wasn't for the My Sites program that we were involved in. So when Dan Casey mentions 12 sites that were approved, there were hundreds that were submitted to My Sites. I submitted 6 of them. We have 16 properties in Michigan. We have 4,800 acres overall in Michigan and Northwest Ohio. We submitted 6 sites. 1 of ours were approved. I thought some of my other ones were far better than the one we have here even. But this one was given to us because this county doesn't have anything else. This is the best site. This is what makes most sense. And with that comes fixing a roundabout for truck traffic, or addressing utilities, addressing traffic lights, bringing other opportunities. The state then comes in with cash. You guys have seen it over and over again in projects across the state. You look at Ford Blue Oval or other communities that get 20 million, 13 million, 15 million. I don't get that money. You guys get that. So those are the opportunities that everybody else has gotten. And this is probably one of the first opportunities that definitely Kimball's had, but one of the first that St. Clair County's had to attract something like that. And we're on the short list. So I'd tell you from a time standpoint, that matters. We don't have this doesn't work out, we're off the list. Now they have 11 opportunities, more money for some other parties, not us, not you guys. So I would tell you that is the only reason I would tell you on time, time is of the essence. Otherwise, I have all the patience in the world. I chased this for 5 years. I've known Neil, we've had cell phone, we've traded text messages for 5 years or better. I put 25 purchase agreements in on this property with the Affer family, only to hit the wall 100 times. Sat in waiting rooms for 2 hours, waiting for an impromptu cold call meeting to try and see if I could get a signature that day. This was the most impossible project I've ever chased, and I wouldn't have chased it if I didn't know it was the right project to be chasing. So, appreciate you guys' time today, very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Are we gonna be asked any more questions, or are we done?
Well, you can ask. I don't know if I can answer.
Okay. You want me to have
Yeah,
the-
would you please?
My name's Ronald Pelk, and I live on 5299 Smith Creek Road. This thing that we're going to vote on for a proposal sooner or later, is this going to be another one of the strip malls where they start out and only they build them and they open them up, they only get 80%, and a year later, less than 50%? Is this industrial park, if that's what it's going to be called, with a proposed park on it, is that going to last, or is that going to just fail like one of these strip malls?
Yeah, it's a.
Who's going to be in charge of what type of business are going to be utilizing this?
That gentleman right there.
Industrial park.
That gentleman
Well,
right
I'm
there.
talking to the mic, but,
Yeah,
okay.
that gentleman right
He
there
can
has-
answer it.
I wouldn't tell you, I'm not in charge of who ends up there. We get an opportunity to present a tenant to you guys. You still have to approve them, provide a certificate of occupancy. That's 100% on you.
It has to be,
No.
it has to be in the zoning.
Right, let's make this very clear. The I-2 zoning has a permitted use list. Those applicants, those tenants would not come to this board. If it is an I-2 special use, then it would come to this board. There's 2 lists in our zoning code. Permitted does not come to this board. Special use comes to this board.
I think you lost him.
Well, you made that perfectly clear.
Okay?
Yes, Neil.
I asked the fire chief to come to tonight's meeting, just to give the history in the last 20 years, what's been happening over on that property. And I'm not trying to put him on the spot, but he did do a little, he keeps great records. And there's been some malicious, deadly circumstances on that property for the last 20 years. Can I ask you to? Thanks, Ed.
My name's Ed Grass. I'm your fire chief. I've been with Kimball Township for 36 years. Started here as a part-time paid-on-call guy, worked my way up, started here full-time as the fire marshal in 2003, was appointed as your fire chief in 2014. The property we have in question today, we have classified it as a nuisance property. And what I mean by that is when we have events that take place in that property, it usually involves somebody getting seriously hurt, something being burned, cars have been taken out there and burned. We've had campers taken out there and burned. We've had people die out there from riding their ATVs, and who knows what else is buried out there. We have confined space locations out there. We have old hydrant systems out there. Matter of fact, when they had the arena there, people would jump off the top part of that arena into the hole in the ground. where they had barbed wire, actually, the cement barbed wire coming up to the bottom. You know, it's just, you never know. Who knows what's at the bottom of the pits? That is just like, I can remember people would have events out there and nobody could enforce the property. Law enforcement couldn't enforce it, you know, the trespassing, so it's been a nuisance event. The ones that we have clarified or actually kept track of since 1993, we've had 117 events, serious events, involving car fires, motor vehicle accidents, and medical calls. 117 events is not a lot when we're doing 1,600 calls a year now. However, getting to that property is not the easiest thing. You have to move cement barricades to get a truck out there. You are going to tear something out, so there's some cost involving there. You know, the manpower it takes to get somebody out of that place. You know, so it has been a nuisance. You know, I understand everybody's concerns here. I truly do. But I think, and keep in mind, this is just the personal preferences. I truly think there's an opportunity here, or we have somebody who wants to make a difference or understand your setbacks, your issues at hand, and to try to make a difference for it. You know, I truly see this a long-term project. I've seen a lot of buildings in what he's presented here. I don't see them happening overnight. However, you guys are the ones that live there. You guys are the ones that make a difference for us as a department too. So, you know, as this moves through the process, please understand that every one of your comments are definitely are heard from me, especially. I can tell you that, you know, the fire safety, the end of it is definitely very important for me. I know the one gentleman mentioned about the fire in California, you know, and you know, I can't tell you what department could handle a fire like that, period. It's just not available, you know, so, but we could have that, well, we just had one at the airport in February. You know, we actually, you know, it's a large fire, large commercial fires. So, and we do our best to make sure that they're that we do our best to make sure that we do check the property and do our inspections and pre-plan. So, any questions for me, I guess? Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Neil, may I? Because I want to
Yes.
segue or use that. I have a question for Mr. Francis in regards to, because I remember I was in this room when there was a planning commission and a ZBA board meeting 30 years ago for the Affer property, and it was approved with the zoning variances and such. But let's learn from that mistake, being, is it the zoning process, or is it the site plan process, or is it another option, being, where is the security or the insurance that requires that this will be completed, and if it's not completed, that it does not become a burden on the township, and that it can be corrected not 20 years later, but in a shorter period of time? Because that was a problem with the Affer property. There was no surety.
My opinion.
And there was
yeah.
similar comments as just said, being, oh, that's a good guy, they'll take care of it, they got our best interests at heart. Well, we saw what happened, so let's learn from it. And what are our options then?
My opinion is you take care of it multiple times at every step you can. And right now, we're at this step, and I think the applicants heard, you know, that concern too, and I don't know if they'd be willing to provide any additional assurances. One of the assurances that can be provided, not financially, but time-wise, is that a reversion right. So, you know, you have to commence construction of this within X amount of time, or it reverts back to its old. It's not quite what you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about money.
You're talking about money. That's,
Yes.
You address it at any point in time that you can, Commissioner. I wasn't an attorney, I don't think. I was looking to play, I was excited to play hockey at the arena would have been the role that I had at that point in time.
And it
never got to happen.
And I was in college, so I was 20-something.
Yeah. So, my opinion is you address it at every possible step in multiple layers that you can. So it may be addressable at site plan review, that depends upon how that goes. It's certainly something I know the applicant has heard you say. With respect to that, I did speak with counsel for the applicant. They're interested in moving along, so if this is gonna be postponed, I think they're still interested in the next meeting. And so I would just communicate that message to the board as well.
In a perfect world, though, on a conditional rezoning, what would that be on an applicant bringing forth as a condition?
A bond?
And what is that percentage?
Difficult to say.
So it could be discussed.
Correct.
Of the value of the total project?
Yeah, so counsel for the applicant suggested this, and he's right. There can be no us telling them.
That is correct.
But this is, and this is not a negotiation.
Nope.
But this is an idea of forecasting, and I think that they've gotten the idea that you're suggesting.
Because we've been here before.
Well, on this parcel.
On this specific parcel,
Yes.
yes. We had a half stadium sitting there.
For a
which-
long time.
For a very long time, which would have eliminated some of the comments made by the fire chief.
Correct.
Because there wouldn't have been a partial stadium there wouldn't have been a hole there filled up with water, there wouldn't have been concrete there. Because someone would have removed it, and we heard as township residents, it's not our property, we don't have the money, why should we have to spend for it?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
When is the next meeting? I think, was it the
It's the
24th? 23rd?
Next Tuesday.
Yeah.
I just, so this commission's aware, I did not share this with counsel for the applicant. I have a closed session at another client on the 23rd. I will not be able to be here. I can see if I can find coverage. I know this is a short turnaround for the applicant as well.
But we could talk to ourselves, or among ourselves, due to the fact of, it is a month that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is there any reason that we could not meet on the 30th? I don't know what the township master calendar is, and I know we would have to talk among the members that are here.
You're talking about a special meeting?
Well, or a rescheduling of the 23rd?
I don't know if you had business on for the 23rd.
I did.
It would be a special meeting likely, yeah.
That's 1, 2, 3, that's the fourth Tuesday.
No, it's technically right, it'd be the 5th. The 30th would be the 5th Tuesday.
We'd be good.
So we don't have anything pending, or an application, or a public hearing, or anything? Yeah. And counselor, would that work for your schedule?
I believe so.
Would it work for the applicant's counsel and the applicant?
We'll be here whenever we can.
It works for me, Commissioner Barrett.
Would it be up to us, because that's not our normal meeting?
Yeah, I think it's just better to give them more time to rush stuff.
Yeah.
So we would postpone the 23rd and move it off to the 30th.
If we make that motion.
And just, I understand the applicant wants it as soon as possible. It does not have to be the next meeting, but that, they've indicated that would be sufficient time for them to address some of the concerns that they've heard tonight, and that's all I can tell you. What's presented to you at the next meeting, we would have to see.
When is the next actual board meeting after that date then?
The normal board meetings is June 6th, no.
It'll be July, July
7th?
The township board meeting?
Yeah. They would meet on the 7th and the 21st. And then we would be meeting on the July 28th.
So we'll make a motion to change the date.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're still on, I don't know if we're done discussing stuff, Mr. Chair. I know I absorbed a lot of the time, so I would be respectful to everybody. Well, I think that we need to, you gotta talk in the mic. You gotta do it. You gotta do it, or talk loud.
Thanks, now I'm all blushing.
So yeah, I think we should take some time and give these guys an extra week to come up with the proposal. So I'd like to make a motion that we reschedule our monthly meeting, June's monthly meeting to the 30th of June, Tuesday to the 30th.
Can I suggest some language for a motion, maybe?
Sure.
Okay. I think the motion would be to postpone the decision, or postpone the further consideration and potential decision of the Blue Water Commerce Park LLC conditional rezoning application to a special meeting to be held on June 30th at 6:30 PM. To allow the applicant, if it desires, to respond to commission and public concerns raised at this meeting. And as part of that, to cancel, sorry, I know I paused, I gave you a shot.
I was waiting for the cancellation, I was gonna do the second one,
As
yeah.
part of that, to cancel the June 23rd meeting, and also whatever business would be at the June 23rd meeting, to schedule that for the June 30th special meeting.
Am I supposed to second that?
You can
or-
say.
You're gonna make that motion.
You're gonna
Mr.
make that
Tuttle,
joke.
you're gonna make that motion.
You're gonna make that motion.
And then
Now we
I'll-
need a second.
And then I will support the motion.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Washabagan. Okay, Tuttle,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Orr,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
and Lopers.
Yes. And then, Mr. Chair, I'm gonna move to postpone the development district definition conversation.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I'm moving to postpone the topic of development district definition in conversation. And Ms. Henry supported.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries. Any other questions of Mr. Francis?
Are we doing audience participation?
Do we have any audience participation?
Hello, my name is Anna Henderson, 6411 Lapeer Road.
We can't hear you, can you speak up, can you close it to the mic?
Yes. Yep. My name is Anna Henderson, 6411 Lapeer Road. This may be the time past to ask how tall Building C will be. It also may be in the packet that I have not had a chance to look at quite yet. I also want to make it clear for anybody who isn't in this room that the applicant and his attorney calling themselves community stewards is a sales tactic. They are trying to sell themselves as community members, when I personally do not believe that they are. And I find that appalling. I just want to make that clear.
Yes, Neil.
Just to reiterate on a couple of those questions, we do have a light meter. We do have a decibel reading guns that in our township ordinances do reflect those readings. We've also, the chairman and myself have talked to the county drain commission, this week, was it?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. He's working with Interstate Capital. It has to be, it is a county drain. They're not gonna close the county drain. And he will work with their engineers to improve that drain.
And it has to be done with Eagle.
And also the Michigan Eagle also. We talked to the road commission, Andrew McNiff. That road that they're approving, or not approving, that are looking at, is gonna go from Ravenswood to Range Road, not out to Allen Road. Maybe under construction, you talked about, Ed, that maybe you have to use it for emergency, I don't know.
It has to be emergency roads, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, wait,
So-
Neil, can you back that up? Because the last time that we talked about the road, the gentleman was here from Storage America, and then he had
Yes.
shared with us that the entrance would be they were working together, that the entrance would be off of Range, and that they would designate a portion of the parking lot or such as the road. But then you're referencing with your statement that there would then what, be an outlet off of Ravenswood then, that would
It
go
would
through
go
the
all the way,
parcel?
it goes all the way through to Ravenswood.
Okay, thank you.
That way, there's two entrances. If there's a gas leak on Range, our fire department could get in from the other entrance. And that is on the site plan, which all has to be approved by our engineers and the planning. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else for audience participation?
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
What is the ordinance for parking lots at night?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What is the ordinance for the parking lots at night?
It has to be 1.5 at the property line. As far as 18 inches off the ground, the light meter has to reflect 1.5.
But those lights are gonna be on at night?
We don't know that. That's all discussed at the site.
Anyone else? Hearing nobody else? I accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn the special meeting of the Planning Commission at 8:19.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. I wish to
What's his
thank
name?
everyone for coming.
Mr. Ronald? Come here. I'll show you what